Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Blitzball Champ is back with a brand new video here on the U to the Tube. So, I have reached my final decision on this. So, I want to talk about the three quarterbacks coming out of the draft that me personally, I would be willing to take a chance on, even if it's with the eighth pick in the first round. These are the three quarterbacks that I personally would be willing to take a chance on and see how they would do with the Carolina Panthers. Here are the three quarterbacks: Zach Wilson, coming out of BYU, Trey Lance, coming out of North Dakota State, and Mac Jones, coming out of Alabama. Yes, these three, if available, I would be willing to take a chance on any of those three with that first pick in the eighth round. Now, this is only under the circumstances if Carolina were to pick a quarterback in the first round. Because nowadays, that might actually change. Depending on what they might decide to get if they trade up, or if they just decide to take the best available player at the number 8 spot. And there's a chance it might not be a quarterback. There's always that possibility. So keep that in mind. This is mainly in the case of we know 100% sure that Carolina is going to go with a quarterback in the eighth round. In the eighth pick in the first round, who would you go with? These are the three quarterbacks I would go with. Let's start with BYU's Zach Wilson. Looked at a good amount of highlights, and looking at his final career stats, as he's getting ready to enter into this draft. He has played 30 games for BYU. He started 28 of them. He is 566 of 837 on passes. He has a completion percentage of 67.6%. He has amassed 7,652 passing yards, 56 passing touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Overall rating, 162.9. He's had 212 rushing attempts, grand total of 642 rushing yards, about a three-yard rushing average, and 15 rushing touchdowns. This is his work for the BYU Cougars. Now, I'll say this about Zach Wilson. He's got a heck of an arm. He's good on the run. He's good throwing on the run. Has a good deep ball. I really don't have many complaints about him, if any. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. Pretty decent size quarterback. Currently 21 years of age. Shout out to Nathan John, who directed my attention originally to Zach Wilson. Watched a lot of highlights, was able to catch, a few games. And, the dude has a great arm. Dude is good on the run. And I really feel that he could definitely evolve in the NFL to become a good quarterback. It's gotten to the point where his stock really got pushed up in the draft. After pretty much by the end of this season, to the point where there is a good chance that if Carolina wants Zach Wilson, they're probably going to have to trade up for him because there is a good chance that the Jets may take him with that number 2 pick, or the Falcons could take him with the number 4 pick in the first round. So, if you ask me, and then you have to also look at potentially the Eagles as well. Or not the Eagles, I'm sorry. The Lions as well. I mean, Matthew Stafford, he's another one that's getting up there in age. So, the Lions could look to their future with a quarterback in this draft. But I think they're probably the least likely compared to, say, the Falcons. So, but I think for Zach Wilson, I think there's a good chance that if Carolina really wants him, if they're set on him, they're probably going to have to trade up to get him. I honestly, I don't see him falling below 5. I really don't. I don't see him falling below 5. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like if Carolina wants to get Zach Wilson, who I would be totally fine with, they're probably going to have to trade up for him. So that's my overall take on Zach Wilson. I think he'd be a great draft. Next, Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. The Bison. 20 years old. 6'4", 226 pounds. Final stats. Like I said, you have to also keep in mind that North Dakota State's 2020 season was canceled due to the XO crisis. And Trey Lance only got to play one conference game. So it's not going to be a lot of numbers. Keep that in mind. But let's go over them. So he's played in 19 games with North Dakota State, started in 17 of them. He's completed 208 out of 318 passes, has a completion percentage of 65.4%. He's amassed 2,947 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, about a 9.3 average. Let's see. 30 touchdowns, 1 interception. A rating of 173.8. Out of 192 rushing attempts, he's amassed 1,325 rushing yards, about a 6.9 average run, and 18 rushing touchdowns. Now here's the thing. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because, Trey Lance is a Christian. I'm a Christian. So do keep that in mind. Maybe a little bit biased. Just a little bit. But here's the thing with this guy. I feel like he, out of these 3 quarterbacks, is going to have the biggest chip on his shoulder with the most to prove. Because I feel like on paper, it's probably not as big of a name as other quarterbacks coming out of this draft. But from what I've seen of this guy, he could potentially be a sleeper that can really end up blowing up in the NFL. The dude has great awareness, knows how to make the decision to scramble when necessary and in time. He's got a heck of an arm, especially on the deep ball. He's got a sick, consistent deep ball. The only thing that I kind of question is how well can Trey Lance thread the needle when it comes to other routes. How well can he thread the needle? That's my main concern with Trey Lance. Dude does well on the deep ball. Very accurate. Knows how to get the deep ball to you. Um, knows how to avoid tackles. Can definitely scramble. Dude's big. I mean, it's a big dude. 6'4", 226 pounds. You know, not quite. I mean, almost as big as Cam Newton. So the dude's got good size on him. And and honestly, I really feel like he has a good chance to really blow up in this league. I think it just comes down to who is willing to take a chance with him and to really build on him and build around him. And honestly, Trey Lance, I feel like he has that killer instinct to really go out and make a play, to really put himself on the line and make a play. Like I said, I loved watching his highlights and such. I just really wonder if he can consistently thread the needle when necessary. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's on North Dakota State. I mean, there may be a lot of question as far as teams that he's played against and such. And it's like, look, I get that. That's fine. But that can't always be used in an argument, though. That gets kind of repetitive. Because, I mean, you take the Carolina Panthers' victory this season over the Detroit Lions. Well, a lot of people are going to say, oh, but it's the Detroit Lions. I don't care who it is. Getting a shutout against anybody is not easy. It doesn't matter if they're 0 and 15 or 15 and 0. It doesn't matter. Getting a shutout, 4 quarters of football, 15 minutes a quarter, a shutout. That ain't easy. I don't care what anybody says. That is not easy. It doesn't matter what team the opponent is. Let's keep it real. Let's be for real. You're gonna act like, oh, anybody could have done that against Detroit. Not easily. Yes, it's possible, but that doesn't make it a sure thing. That doesn't make it easy to do. Come on now. Let's be real with ourselves. Um, and not to mention with Trey Lance, I don't know of anybody, not to my knowledge, from my experience watching football, that's gotten through a whole season not throwing a single interception. Not to mention 28 touchdowns in a season with at least 287 attempts and not a single interception in one season. 287. He set the NCAA record for passes thrown in a season without an interception. Sounds like the dude does pretty well in taking care of the ball. I'm just saying. Now, that'll definitely be greatly tested in the NFL. I'm not going to doubt that. That'll definitely be tested in the NFL. It's a whole nother different level. But let's give the dude his props. And let's see how he can capitalize that going into the NFL. There'll be a lot for him to learn, but I have no problem taking a chance on Trey Lance. I feel like out of these three, or maybe just out of all of the quarterbacks going into this draft, I feel like he may have the most to prove and may have the biggest chip on his shoulder. That's just my personal opinion. But Trey Lance, I'm all for it. And then finally, coming out of Alabama, Mac Jones. Mac Jones, 6'3", 214 pounds. Let's look at his overall stats. So, he has amassed, he's played 30 games. He started 17 of them. He's completed 413 out of 556 attempts passing. 74.3% completion percentage. So amassed 6,126 yards passing. About an average of 11 yards per attempt. 56 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. There's a rate of 197.6. All right. Not a whole lot for rushing. 54 attempts, 31 yards, about a .8 average, and 2 rushing touchdowns. So not one that's a scrambler. And you know what? That's okay. Not every quarterback is. But let's keep in mind, the dude is a two-time champ. He's a two-time champ. Had a wide receiver, Devonta Smith, who won the Heisman Trophy. And you already know how hard it is for a wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking. Played behind a solid offensive line. I get it. This is true. Dude has great pocket presence. He's got a good arm. Makes the good accurate throws. My main concern with Mac Jones is how well he can adapt to pressure, constant pressure, in the case if he doesn't have as strong of an offensive line, which I do hope that if Carolina does take a chance on him, the offensive line is the next big thing that they fix and really, really build around him. And that's just in general. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. That's just in general. But in the necessary circumstances that this happens, can Mac Jones adjust to the pressure and react to make the play compared to like a Trey Lance? Or even compared to Zach Wilson or maybe even a Justin Fields? That's my main concern. You know, I think Mac Jones can work well with the weapons placed around him, but I think, offensive line, it sounds like is going to be a real big key. But like I said, that's in general. But I mean, hey, I know Mac Jones is not a lot of people's favorites, but I mean, hey, he was a two-time national champion. I mean, he's got great stats overall. He's taken pretty dang on good care of the ball. So I mean, hey, I don't see why he would be a bad choice if he was available and nobody else was available. Taking Mac Jones. Why not? Why not? You know? But yeah, that's pretty much all that I have. Those are the 3 quarterbacks that I'd be willing to really invest in the draft. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. If Carolina were to take a quarterback in this first round, those would be the 3 that I would go for. Now, let's say in the likelihood that all 3 are available at the 8th pick, who would I go with? Ooh. If all 3 of them were available, I think it would have to come down between Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. I would go for either of those 2. I can't say that I would favor one over the other, but if all 3 were available, if they went with Zach Wilson or Trey Lance, I'd be happy. I'd be cool with. I would. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts? What do y'all think? If you knew for sure Carolina is going to bank on a quarterback in the first round, which quarterbacks would y'all really take a chance on with that 8th pick in the first round? Who would y'all go for? Who would be your favorite, or if you have a top three or whatnot, who would be that? Those are my top three. What do y'all think? Like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thank y'all for watching. Blitzball champ Jason Ingram signing off. Hope everybody has a blessed week. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.